Hello and welcome to today's Trader Talk TV from ExchangeWire. I am delighted to be joined today by Ruben Niet from Digital Audience.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me, John, and thanks for watching, viewers. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. It's really lovely to have you here. To kick us off, before we dive into our subject for the day, tell us a little bit about yourself and Digital Audience.
Yes, please. Yes, my name is Ruben Niet. I'm the founder and CEO of Digital Audience. We're a data collaboration platform, which means we help companies like advertisers and publishers and data owners activate their data across the digital ecosystem, and usually for purposes of activation, targeting and measurement, and monetization. We do that in the Benelux and the Nordics now, and I'm proud to say that we just launched in Germany, and I think in our talk about data collaboration, I'll also go into a little bit deeper why it's difficult for data collaboration platforms to launch also into local markets.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much again for joining me, and we'll dive right in. So, as you mentioned, we're going to talk about data collaboration today. And first off, tell us a little bit about the state of data. How do you see the data landscape at the moment?
John, I've been working in digital advertising for over 20 years. The first 10 years on the publisher side, responsible for monetization of the online inventory. Worked a couple of years on the agency side, and the last 10 years as an ad tech vendor. And data has always been a big part of it, moving from the old days from probabilistic, what people are looking at, to adding deterministic data, especially when walled gardens like Facebook started introducing the possibility to also match offline data into online, so matching, for instance, email addresses for Facebook custom audiences to target real persons instead of cookies. That was also the eye-opener why I started. It was called Social Audience 9 years ago, and then moved into Digital Audience. So I've always been in the heart of data, the evolvements. I'm happy to share what we see has been happening in the last years and how data plays a role in the ecosystem.
Great. Yeah, let's dive into it in terms of where you're standing with data and the privacy play as well.
Yeah, I think the privacy, of course, is a very hot topic. Sometimes I don't understand why. I mean, as said, I've been working for publishers for more than 20 years, and I think that the value exchange between consumers and publishers has been broken in that sense. Consumers want content for free, they're not willing to pay, they click and consent, and publishers have not been able to create a real value exchange. Of course, there are examples like the Financial Times that get users to pay for their content, but I think 90% of the open web is unable to get consumers to pay in a different model than advertising. And you see that the walled gardens are actually reaping the benefits because everybody just says, click, I agree, and they can do whatever they want with the data. And I think for publishers or data owners in the open web, it's a lot more complicated, and there's a lot of regulations that make it very difficult to interact with consumers. And I think it's very important and it's very necessary, and also the evolvement of privacy-enhancing technologies is really making sure that the data of the consumer and the privacy is at the core of what we're doing. Yeah. On the other hand, it's also, if you're not privacy compliant, you don't have a business. So I don't really understand why a lot of companies are emphasizing that they're very privacy compliant and that what they do is privacy by design. I mean, it should be, because if you don't have it, you don't have a business.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
Privacy is it's a tick box. If you're not compliant, you have no business. So let's move on and talk about outcomes and what problem are you solving and what are you delivering for the marketeers or the clients that are using your platform.
Yeah, privacy is table stakes, really.
Yeah.
Cool. So you mentioned a little bit early on about the difference between the online and offline data sources and data matching. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about Digital Audience's, your activity in that area and what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question, John. I think that the whole idea of getting offline data and making that available for online targeting is actually at the heart how we started. That's how we started the business, as I said, 9 years ago, seeing Facebook being able to connect offline data for digital advertising, and suddenly you're targeting real users instead of people that visited a page about a certain topic. That was actually how we started. And fast forward now, we've built an infrastructure for companies to activate data for these purposes. And I think the ExchangeWire data distribution sketch gives a real good framework for explaining how we sit in that ecosystem. So maybe if I can start drawing on that.
Please, yeah. No,
So-
this is, just for reference, this was the data distribution sketch, Plumbing for Programmatic, which we released in association with Digital Audience earlier in the year.
Yeah, we're very happy about that because it really outlines our position in the ecosystem.
Yep. No, fire away.
So if we have data distribution as the main driver. On the one hand, we have the companies that have data or are looking for data. This can be, for instance, companies with offline data. It can, for instance, be agencies that would love their clients to be able to target on that offline data. It can be brands that have data of their consumers and of prospects, and they would really like to target them or measure them or find them back online. And it can be data owners, for instance, pubs or retail media networks that have data, want to monetize it, and preferably on their own inventory, but it's also possible, of course, outside of their own inventory. On the other hand is what we talk about destinations, or this is where the advertising, where the ads are served, or where the data needs to end up to be able to target them, measure them, or monetize them. Of course, there's the walled gardens, which are gobbling up most of those activation euros, dollars, whatever you want to mention, as we mentioned before, because they have the whole login and all the data available to target on. And walled gardens is something that is, I mean, if we would had this talk probably 2 years ago, we were talking about FANG or GAFA, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple. Now it's Netflix, Uber, Spotify. So there's many, many more coming. Amazon, of course, not to forget. Oh, and I promised the team to mention that we've become Amazon certified last week. So we are also able to move data into Amazon, which we're quite proud of. So I had to mention that.
Yeah, we got that one in.
So we have the walled gardens. Then, of course, there's the open web. And if we're talking about open web, we're talking about DSPs and SSPs to move data in and activate on. It can also be, in some cases, CDPs or DMPs, depending on the type of data that needs to be activated, where it needs to be activated. And what we see now, and that's coming back also to that retail media network and the publishers, is that we see private gardens. So we see large publishers in the Netherlands, for instance, there's DPG, and then creating their own logged-in environment, which we see as more as a private garden than the walled gardens.
Yeah.
So these are the players which we help in between in getting the data and activating it over there.
Yeah, and you are the layer in the middle.
We are the layer in the middle, indeed, indeed.
So tell us about that. What does the middle look like?
Yeah, the middle is what we call the collaboration part.
Yeah.
And this would be where we'd be starting talking about privacy-enhancing technologies. So, for instance, clean rooms, of course, being a very big topic in the last couple of years. And it is a real good way to make sure that data is safe and that control and ownership is there of the data and the data is not being leaked. But I also think it's a little bit of a overhyped topic. It's been a bit of an overhyped topic in the last couple of years because it is, in our opinion, it's part of a solution, and standalone, it's quite difficult. As a clean room is not a use case. A marketeer is not looking for a clean room. A marketeer is looking to activate data or measure data somewhere around here, and clean room is a solution or feature in the middle.
It means
to get the data safe. Yeah, exactly. So we have our platform in the middle. So in the middle is where the different data owners can onboard their data into our platform. Yeah. They will have their own secure clean room environment where they have control and ownership of their data. And depending on the use case, which I will touch upon a little bit later, because that is, of course, the most important part. What is the outcome they want?
Exactly. Yeah.
So depending on the use case, they can decide to activate that data directly from their clean room into the different instances. This is what we call pair-to-pair, so it's clean room to clean room.
Right.
Or they can decide they want to actually add other different data partners or clean room partners, and then we're talking about multi-clean room, and that's where we add different layers and overlap from different clean rooms for enrichment or higher reach.
There's interoperability here between.
No, that would, to be honest, that we would really like that. We would really. We also see that as one of the major involvements of clean rooms, is that there's no vendor lock-in and clean rooms are able to communicate with each other. At this moment, it's clean rooms in our environment. Okay. Yeah, but we are definitely looking into how can we connect to other clean rooms, because we do feel if a brand is using and we work for the publisher and they want to activate, we should be able to connect to that. It is possible, of course, now, but not in the isolated data way that we would prefer.
Cool. Okay.
So these are then data providers or data players or other companies that are in our own platform and have their own clean room there.
Excellent. Cool.
And of course, talking about privacy-enhancing technologies, obfuscation, the data intersection, these are all added. I'll be honest, when we've been doing data collaboration for almost 10 years, when clean rooms really entered the market, I think we're talking about 2018, 19, we were like, ooh, wow, we need a clean room, and nobody knew what a clean room was. Yeah. And there were these companies that had a huge investment, so they were doing a lot of marketing and telling what clean rooms were. We were, okay. So we started working on the clean room, but when I think it was end of 2023, the IAB Tech Lab came with the requirement lists for clean room. Yeah. And then we had a look and we said, oh, well, I think 80% is what we have. And it was 20% that we needed to adapt, and we changed it. And now we have a clean room solution that really maps into those requirements, and we feel is a full offering for our brands and advertisers. And I mean, we're working for companies like Nestlé, we're working for Hafas. So yeah, we feel very, very proud that we have established a solution in there as well.
Yeah, a strong clean room offering.
Yeah, but it is just part of the solution.
Yeah.
What's very important, of course, is also the integrations, because if you want to move data effortlessly, seamlessly, you want to move it via API, you need all these integrations. So we at the moment have 45 plus integrations. Right. Most walled gardens, so we're talking about Google, Meta, TikTok, LinkedIn, Amazon, Pinterest maybe, I don't know, I think. And then most of the major DSPs and SSPs. So if it's DV360, Xender, PubMatic, Trade Desk, Equative, Adform, so most of them already integrated. Yeah, so that's something we were really proud of as a local Dutch player, getting all these integrations in Trade Desk and DV360.
Yeah, fantastic.
So we're reaping the benefits, bits of that. And then we have direct integrations into private gardens, so publishers that have their own offering. And it can be directly into our platform, or it can be into the CDPs that they're using. So for instance, for a publisher in Finland, we integrate into Permutive. For the Telegraph Media Group in the Netherlands, we integrate directly with Piano. So they're able to move the data that is in the clean room and then move it back into their DMP or CDP.
Fantastic. So plenty of integrations for you, plenty of interesting stuff going on. I'm intrigued that you said clean rooms are just one part of the solution. I think that's a really interesting take, and it's, we've heard a lot on panels over the last couple of years about the importance of clean rooms, but interesting that you see it as just a part in terms of your whole offering with privacy-enhancing technologies as well, and the clean room offering. Is that kind of that holistic approach to privacy, is that going to make a difference towards the industry? Yeah,
I think that's a very, very interesting topic, because we've heard a lot about clean room business case, clean room use cases, is that when you match a clean room directly with another clean room, there's a lack of scale, because the signals are so encrypted, obfuscated, or they're made, it's very difficult to create scale. So we do believe that you need to have more of a, I'll use the holistic word then, approach to it, and see if there's other elements that you can add to help create better outcomes and to create scale. And then maybe you need to be less stringent, but the benchmark is still tick box. Is it compliant? Is it privacy? But there is room there to maneuver. And for instance, what we see, and one of the things we're really excited about, is that, of course, There is in the clean rooms, there is AI working there. We have our ID graphs that are being built based on LLMs. But what was really one of the things that we just launched is that we're also streaming live data into the clean rooms. So that means that we have our tag running on the publisher from, for instance, on Telegraaf Media Group in the Netherlands, and we're streaming directly into the clean room, and we're getting different identifiers that, of course, get encrypted, and of course they get minimalized, pseudo-anonymized before they enter the clean room. But that offers more data points to match on, which can make sure that we can reach a higher scale. So for the advertiser that wants to reach their audience on their publisher, they have the possibility to match on different match keys and have a higher reach. So yeah, I do think it is necessary to look at it from a more, what are we trying to achieve point of view than how privacy compliant can we get.
Yeah, exactly. So it's more outcome focused.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
yes, indeed.
Excellent. Speaking of outcomes, tell us a little bit about clients you've worked with and what you've done for them.
Yeah, so I think I might give an example of all four here.
Excellent.
So for instance, for offline, we've just launched our partnership with YouGov.
Great.
And YouGov in the Netherlands, I think they have two sides of the business, but in the Netherlands they're doing shopper panel. So they have data of people in the Netherlands, what they buy in supermarkets, what they buy on a daily basis. They collect the data and they have all kinds of information on brands and on products, SKUs, a number of sales they do, and they make it available for fast movers. FMCGs use that data to calculate and see how a new launch is doing. And of course, they were looking to be able to also offer those FMCGs the possibility to target those shopper segments. So, how can we get the data that we have offline about these shoppers, make it available, walled gardens, DSPs, SSPs, for brands to target them. Right. And that's how we set up the partnership. So YouGov data they have their own clean room in our platform. Great. Because it's panel data, and now we're talking about scale again, the scale is very low. So they need to enrich the data, and then we're talking about multi-party compute or multi-party clean rooms. They're looking at other companies or other data partners that we have in the Netherlands that can help enrich the YouGov data. So this could be a publisher that has a lot of logged in data. It could be another offline data company that has information about households, because of course this is on a household level. Or it could be a data partner that has identifiers that we can tie to the panelists. So it's different elements that we add. So that's the enrichment part. So they need to enrich the data, and then we make it available in all the marketplaces.
Fantastic.
So they're really happy about it, because now they're talking to the brand. They're doing all these research, but now they can also say, hey, listen, you can get that research and use it in your media campaigns. So we were really happy with that.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, the enrichment it's an amazing part of your offering in terms of what you can take from their proprietary data, and then what you can turn it into for the next layer.
Yeah, thanks. That's also the bridge to the agency. That's a very short one, because the agency just wants to target those YouGov shoppers. Havas has, I think, the biggest coffee brand, JDA, and they want to target them, and then they can do it via our offering that we make available for them.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
On the brand side as well?
Yeah, the brands are our most important client base. We work for a lot of brands in the Netherlands, from energy companies like Eneco to the Holland Casino, which is the Dutch casinos, to Delta Fiber, which is a cable company. But we also work, for instance, for Nestlé. They have data of people that have bought certain brands from them. And they want to activate them. It can be that they want to exclude them from campaigns because they're already clients. I don't think that will be the case in Nestlé. But when you're an energy company or a telco and you already have a subscription, you would like to exclude them from your campaigns, which is, I think, underrated a targeting option. Exclude your current clients. It saves saves a lot of media budget. Saves a lot of media budget. Let's say they have a campaign coming up, and they have a list of 150k records from their system, and they want to target them, and they want to do that, of course, in a privacy-safe way. So the data is encrypted before it enters their clean room. In the clean room, they have full control and ownership of that data. They can decide to enrich it if they want to. If they don't want to enrich it, they can move it directly into the different platforms via our integrations. which also saves them from manually uploading Excel files in all the walled gardens, etc. They don't have to do that. It's in our platform, it's encrypted, and from there they can move it into the different platforms, or they can activate it in a DSP or an SSP and run a campaign on it.
Perfect.
Yeah. If they decide that they want to enrich it, which is possible as well, then that's also possible. They can add, for instance, an extra layer before they move it into the platforms.
Nice. And you're also working with the publishers as well?
Yeah, definitely. And publishers are actually, they are here, but they should be, of course, also on this side, because they have the data, they want to have it monetized. So for publishers, we do various things. We help them create segments which they can offer in the marketplaces from the walled gardens. But when we're talking on this topic, for instance, Telegraaf Media Group, which we were talking about, they have their subscription data in one of our clean rooms. They also have the live streaming web data coming into the clean room, and they make it accessible for brands to target that. So we do an overlap analysis. They get the reach, and they send it back to the platform we send it back to the Telegraaf for activation, and they run the campaigns.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You've spoken a bit about Nestle, the huge global brand involved there. How about the more local providers? How are you working with them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. As I said, we work with local energy companies and local telco providers, and that is also in the beginning my reference. We're really happy that we launched in Germany, scaling data distribution or data collaboration. The local part is the challenging part. I mean, all these integrations, these pipes, work globally. I can move data from the local energy company into Google in Japan, but data is very local. I'm not in a database in Japan, and if I was, it's no use for a marketeer. Yeah. So getting this ecosystem and being able to offer enrichment to local players needs that you mean to have local boots on the ground, knowledge of the local market, build up the ecosystem. It's about data. It's a lot about trust. So so it takes a lot of time, and that's why I think quite a few big international clean room players have left Europe, and they're now focusing on the US, because Europe is, of course, very fragmented, very local, and I think we have cracked how we can do this in local markets. It just takes a lot more time and a lot more effort, but we're patient. We're building a business, trying to build a sustainable offering, but the local part is really challenging. So it's a good point.
No, and it's well worth making in terms of you are growing. You said to start with you focused on Benelux and now moving into Germany. Yeah. It's
and in Nordics. We have an office in Sweden.
Excellent. Well, plenty of boots on the ground in Europe. Well, that's been a really great overview, Ruben, of what you do. Thank you very much for joining me. And like I say, we are doing the Data Distribution Hub with you, so there's plenty of content on there for anyone who wants to hear more about the plumbing of programmatic and digital audience. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, cool.